In this course, we are going to use the NextJS and Firebase Firestore to create this to-do list, which for the user to add the new to-do, and we add the new detail, and click Add. You can see the message, the alert message at the bottom, and also we have the new to-do which sorted by the timestamp, so the latest one is on the top. And we can also delete the message, and also click on this to update the message. And all of these has the update alert message. So we will talk about how to create, read, update, and also delete in this course. In this part, we are going to set up the project, and we will install the Firebase, the material UI, to create the NextJS app, and also add the Firebase config. So we first go to the console, and then we add a new project, and then we type a name, and click continue, and then we disable the Google Analytics and click create project. And after it finishes, we click continue, and then we go to the Firestore, and then we click create database and click start in test mode and click next and click enable. And then we start a new collections and we name this as to-dos and click next, and we go to create a new document by clicking auto ID, and then we add the title. And for example, we eat apple is what we need to do, and then we add the details. And then I just paste some random text here, and then we go to create the timestamp, and later we will sort by the timestamp. So we change this to timestamp, and then we click on some date. And for example, if this is 2 p.m. and we click 14 and then click all the zeros and click save. Now we have one to-dos, and then we click another to-dos by add another new document, and also we have the title, and we click fishing and click details, and also we paste some random text here. And again we create the timestamp, we name it as timestamp, and also we click another date, and also we type, for example, this is 5 p.m. So now we already have two to do, and since we will use the Google login, so we go to authentications and click get started, and then we select Google and then click enable, and then we choose our email to be the project support email and click save. Now, after we already set up in the Firebase, we are going to create the NextJS app. So from the documentation, we go to copy this command, and then we are going to paste this command and add the file name. We type NextJS Firebase. So after we already create a project, we go inside the project by typing cd and type the name. And type code dot. And since we will use the material UI, so we can copy this command from the documentation's installations. So we copy the first one and go to the terminal of our VS Code and paste inside the terminal. And then we copy the next command and paste here. And we also need to use the material UI icon, so we scroll to here, and then we copy this command and also paste to the terminal. And at the same time, we go to project overview and click on the web, and then we create the web app, which is NextJS Firebase. This is just some name that you can create yourself, and then click register app. And then we go to copy this config file and at the same time we go back to the project and click new file inside the root folder, and we type firebase.js, and then we paste the Firebase config file here, and we hit save. And also it also mentioned that you have to install the Firebase, so we have to install it later. So we continue to the console and back to our project terminals and click yarn add Firebase so it can communicate with the Firebase later. So we already finished the installations and we start reading the documents from Firebase. In this part we are going to get the to-dos from the Firestore. So we back to our project, and inside these config files we are going to import the get Firestore from Firebase Firestore, and then we set the constant db is equal to get Firestore, and then we export this db and save it. Now we are going to create the to-do list, so we go to the root folders and create a folders called components, and inside these folders we create a to-do list.js, and then we type _rafce to create this component. And then first we are going to add the use state, and then we set the to-dos and set to-dos. And then we use the useEffect to get the Firebase, and then we use the useEffect to get the collections from the Firestore. So we type useEffect, and inside this useEffect we use the collections to get the collections which named as to-dos, and then we use a query and get this collection and order by the timestamp. And at last we also used on snapshot to listen to the change of the Firestore, and then we set the to-dos list, and the to-dos including the to-do object, and the to-do object has the detail, timestamp, and also the title. And we also add the ID, and which is the document ID at here. And we also reformat the timestamp because the timestamp object of the Firebase is not easy for understand for the JavaScript, so we have to convert this to date and get time in order to convert to the timestamp that the JavaScript understand. We also add the question mark here because the timestamp is added suddenly, so it may not has the timestamp yet, so we use this question mark to prevent the problems. So we have to import the use state and also import the useEffect, and also we have used the collections and also query the on snapshot and also order by. So I think we already has all we need, so we have to use the map function to list out all the to-dos. So we use to-dos map.todo, and then we list out all the to-do by using the div, and we paste the to-do.title, and then we have the ID or the key is equal to the to-do.id. So after we already create the to-do list, we have to import to our index. So we back to the index, and then we delete all of these, and instead we will use the containers from the material UI. So we type container, and then inside this we paste the to-do list, and then we remove all of these unnecessary import, and then we save it and type yarn dev, and then we go to localhost 3000. We see the initial state is not defined, so we back to the to-do list, and because we haven't changed this to empty array, and we also do not have the DB, so we back to here and we have to import the DB from our config file. So let's see what happened. Now we can see the fishing and also the apple, which is inside the Firestore. And since we are using the on snapshot, so you can see in localhost we have fishing and also apple. And now if we go to change something, you can see it will change instantly. So it also set go fishing. And if we go to add one more document, and we have the title, and just type some random text, and we choose the timestamp to be the latest one. So for example, we choose next year and type the timestamp and save it. Now you can see it on the top of the list, and if we now go to delete this, we will delete instantly. So this is how to read the to-dos. In this part, we are going to create a better to-do list instead of just 2 sentences. So we are going to create a new component called to-do. But before we continue, we are going to add a package called moment, because we will use this to help us to display the timestamp. And then we go to the components and create a new file called todo.js. And inside this, we type rafce, and we are going to import the ID, the timestamp, the title, and also the detail at the props. And we will pass into it later. And then at this one, we are going to delete this, and instead of using div, we could use the list item, which from the material UI. And inside the list item, we are going to set the margin, and you can refer to the documentation. To add the margin, we have to use the SX, and empty is stand for margin top. So the two lists or the two to-do will not be too close. And then we add a box shadow, so the list item will pop up from the background. And we also add a background colors or the list item colors with a light gray, and we usually use the FA, and we have to use a code to close this. And then inside the list item, we use the list item tags, and then we use the primary, and which is equal to tags, and secondary is equal to moment timestamp, and then dot format, and then we have 4m, and then we save it. Now we are going to pass the ID, timestamp, title, and details from the to-do list. So at here, instead of using the div, we use the to-do, and we will import this from the to-do. And so this is self-closing tag, so we remove all of this and close the to-do. Now we have the key, and we have to add the title is equal to to-do.title, and we also have to add the detail and also the timestamp. And so we save it, and we are going to check the website, and we already start the server, so we back to here, and it said the list item tag is not defined. So we back to here, and we have to import from the material UI. And the text, should be the title rather than the text. And also the moments haven't been defined, so we have to import the moment. Now we already has the two list items, and instead of using this, we are going to change the format to DO. So it use the number to represent the date. And we also want to change the container width. So we back to the index, and at the container, we type max width if equal to SM. So we save. And now we can see the to-do placed at the center, and this is much shorter than before. In this part, we are going to add a to-do form on top of the to-do list, so the user can input the new to-dos to the to-do list. So we go back to the components, and then we create a new component called todoform.js. And then, like before, we type rafce, and then we use the text field from the material UI, and we create two text fields, and one is for inputting the title. So we type label title, and the margin is normal, and the second one is for typing the detail. So we type the label is detail, and since it is for longer sentence, so we use multi-line, and we set the max rows to be 4, and then both of these we use full width, so we click on this and type full width. And then at last we have to add the button for submitting the to-do, so we paste button, and this is also from the material UI, so we already import on the top. So we close the tag and we add a sentence, add a new to-do to the button, and then we also set the margin to be 3, so there is some space between the text field and also the button. So at last we have to import to the index. So at the index.js we place the to-do form, and we have to import from the components. So we save it and we back to our website, and we should also see the form and also the button, and we have to make some changes on the to-do form, and we have to add the variant is equal to contain, so this is filled with blue colors. So this is how to create a form, and we are going to add the function to add a new to-do. In this part we are going to add a new to-dos, and so we go to create the submit functions, and first we need to go to create a state called to-do. So at here we type use state, and then we type to-do, and we set the initial state is the title is empty string, and also the detail is empty string. And since we use state, so we have to import the use state, and then we have to bind the values to the title with to-do.title, and then we do the same for the details. So we copy this and go down to here and paste to here and type to-do.details, and then at here we type on change is equal to the event, and then we set the to-do, and then we spread the to-do, the original to-do, and we just merge with the new title at the title input field, and we type event.target.values, and then we go to copy this and paste to the text field, the detail text field, and then we type detail, and then go to the to-do form and type the JSON of the to-do and see whether we can input the to-do. And we forgot to add the arrow on this function, so we save it and we back to here, and then we type something at the title. We get the new title and we get the new details, so we can delete this. And then we add the onSubmit functions. So the onSubmit function is that we specify the collection which is to do, and since we use the DB which is from the Firebase config file, so we have to import this, and then we go to add the document to these collections with the to-do that the user just type in, and also we add the timestamp that record the time that the user add this file, and after that we alert the message that the user added the document successfully, and all of these will finish, and so we can clear the to-do, and it is better to paste before the alert. And so now we can bind this function to our buttons. So we go to the button and type on click and submit, and then we have to import the collections, and also we have to import the add doc server timestamp. So we save it, and now we can try to see whether it can add the to-do. So we go to here, and then we type new to-do, and then new detail, and click add. Now we can see the to-dos already added, and it already cleared the field, and it also alert the message that the to-do with ID this one is added successfully. So if you look at the Firestore, you can see we have this ID, and which is equal to this alert message. In this part, we are going to create a alert message. So instead of using the default alert message, we are going to use the help of the material UI, the snackbar, and also the alert component to create a message. So it will look like this. It will pop up, and then after a few seconds, it will disappear. And this is because this is the Firefox default alert message, so different people will have different type of alert if you do not use this component. So this is not just better looking, it also has a consistent alert message. But first we have to create a to-do context at our project, because we will use this show alert method in all of the components. So at the root folder, we create a to-do context.js, and then inside this we are going to export constant. The to-do context is equal to create context and null, and then we import the create context from React. So after we create the to-do context, we are going to the index page, and then we are going to add a field state, and one of the state is from our dialog components. So at here we have to use the useState to open and close the dialog box. So we copy this and paste to here, and instead of using React.useState, we are going to import it directly from the React. So we import the useState from React, and also we have to add two more state. One is the alert type, and then equal to useState is equal to success, and then we type constant alert message, and then set alert message is equal to useState, and we set the empty string, and this is for setting the alert message colors, and this is setting the alert message. So if you look at the documentations, you can see we have a field color type. So we go to the code, we can see it can has error, warning, info, and success. So later we will use this and pass to our components to show different color. And now we are going to copy from the documentations and copy this snackbar. And because we just want to display at the to-do form, after the to-do form we paste it here, and then we go to import the snackbar from the material UI, and also import the alert from the material UI, and then we are going to pass the color and also the message to these components. And so we use the state that we just created and pass to here, and also we use the color that we just create, the alert type, and paste to here. So we are going to set this, so we have to create another method, and which is show alert is equal to type and also the message, and then we go to set the alert type to type, and then we set the alert message to message, and then we also set open to true. So we have to pass this method to all of the components. So later if we click delete at the list items, or click the update or add a new item, we have to show this message or execute the show alert functions. So we have to pass this to all of the components. So this time we have to use the to-do context. So we have to import from the to-do context. and then we type dot providers, and then we pass the value, and which is the show alert, and then we have to cut this and put it in the end of our web to wrap the whole web. So now we should able to use inside our to-do form. So we are going to use the show alert function instead of the default JavaScript alert functions. So we replace this with show alert, and then we have to pass the color, and the color is success. And then we are going to get the functions by using the use context. So we get the show alert function, and then use context, and then we have to import the use context and also the to-do context. Now if we click on this, you can see there are handle close is not defined. So let's see what happened, and we have to copy these functions and paste to our index. So we go to the index, and then we paste the handle close functions. So we back to our form, and we try to type a new to do, and then new detail, and click add new to do, and it showed the dialog at here. And we can also position at the centers rather than at the left corners. And we can go to the snackbar and go to here and type anchor origin, and we type vertical is bottom, and the horizontal is center, and we click save. Now if we try again and type another to do and click add, and now you can see it is positioned at the bottom center. In this part, we are going to add the delete functions to our app, so later we can delete those unnecessary to do. But before we continue, we have to add the delete icons and also the more vertical icons to go to the details. So we go to the material icon, and then we copy the delete icon, and then we go back to our to-do, and then we go to the list item and type secondary action is equal to, and then we add fragment, and we also import the icon button, and then we paste the delete icon, and then we duplicate this, and then we search more, and then we go to use this, and then we copy and back to the page and paste to here, and then we copy more vertical icons and paste to here, and then we can see the icons already exist. So now we are going to create the delete functions, and because we have to pass the ID to our delete function later, and at this moment we do not have the ID actually. If you look at the to-do list, we haven't passed the ID, so we have to add the ID is equal to to-do.id, and back to our to-do items, and we are going to create the delete to-do, and we will pass the ID and also the event, and then we have to stop the propagations because this will trigger the event bubbling, and this is because delete icon is on top of the to-do items, and later we will also have the function. So the user click on this and will place the title and detail here. So in order to not trigger the other function, we have to use the event.stop propagations, and then we are going to grab that document by using constant .ref is equal to dot, and then db, and then to do, and then also pass the ID, and we have to import the doc from the Firestore and also import the db from the Firebase config, and after that we have to await the delete doc, and we are going to delete that document. So we use to import the delete dot from the Firestore, and after that we will show the alert, and the alert will use the error color, which is red, and we will set the to-do with ID, and then we pass the ID deleted successfully. And so we finished this, but we haven't got the show alert function yet, so we have to import from the to-do context. So we have to use the use context. So we have to import the use context, and we pass the to-do context. So we import these two, and now we can try to see whether the functions work. And now we back to here, and we try to delete this, and we do not have any function bind to our button. So we go to the icon buttons, and we trigger on click is equal to the event, and then we pass the delete, and this should be the delete to do, and then we pass the ID and also the event. So now it should trigger the delete to do, and we back to here and go to click the delete, and we can see the to do is not deleted because at here we use the wrong collections, because in our collection the name is to do's rather than to do, so we have to add the s at the collections. So now it should work, and we click on this. Now you can see that one already disappeared, so we can delete one more. Now we can see all of the other weird to-do already deleted. In this part, we are going to check the users whether he is clicking the input area or clicking the to-do items, because when the user click on the to-do items, it should display the title and details so he can edit, and if he click on the other area, it should clear the titles and also clear the details so he can update the to-do. And now we are going to our input, the to-do form, and at here we are going to add the useRef because we want to detect the input area. So we type constant input area ref is equal to useRef, and then we also has to import the useRef from React, and then we go to the input field and type ref is equal to input area ref, and then we have to go to add the useEffect. We go to here and add the useEffect, and what it is doing is it is going to check if it is contained in the input area. If this is not the input area, it will set the to do. So this is clear the title and clear the details. Otherwise, it just console log this is inside the input area. And so now we can go to the to-do item because we already has the condition that to clear the title and detail. So the next thing is we want it to set the to-dos to the input box. So we go to the list item and set on click is going to set to do, and then we pass the to do, and we have the ID, the title, the detail, and also the timestamp because we already passed at here. But you may already acknowledge or realize the problem that we do not have the set to do at this component. So we have to put this into the use context. So where is the set to do? The set to do is at the to do form, and we can see this is at here. So we cut this, and instead of using the use state, we will go to get the to do and set the to do by using the use context data. So we paste this to do and set to do at the index page. Why we need to do this is because we will pass this to our providers, the context providers, so every component can use this to do and set to do. And then we also go back to the to do. And then at here, we are going to need the set to do. So we go to get the set to do function by using the use context. And now we can see whether it works. And it has not import the use effect in the to do form. So we go to here and add the use effect and save it. Now if we click on this, you can see it do not have the timestamp. And we go to the to do, and because we have the spelling mistake, so we paste to here. And now if we click on this, we get the timestamp and the title and also the detail. And if you want to look more clear at the JSON, you can type, for example, if you go to the to do form and we type the JSON dot stringify and then to do and then null and then the / t and close it and close the curly bracket. And now you can see we have the timestamp, detail, and also the ID, so we can change according to this ID. And if we click on the other area, you can see it clear all the things and without ID and without timestamp. So we can determine whether the user is going to update the to-do or adding a new to-do by using whether it has the timestamp. In the previous part, we already see that if the user click on this to-do, it will have the timestamp because it already exists in the Firebase. But if he is clicking on the other areas and typing a new to-do, and it do not have any timestamp. So to determine whether the user is going to update or adding a new to-do, we can determine to check whether the to-do has timestamp or not. But before we continue, we have to import some of the package from the Firebase. We are going to add the update doc and also the doc. Of course, this is the update document, and this is going to select the specific document. And then we are going to the submit function, and we are going to check if the to-do has own property. If it has own properties, and we will update the to-do. Otherwise, it will do the original things, which is going to add a new to-do, so we cut this and paste to the else. And to update the to-do, this is very similar. We get the document, and by using the ID that just we pass to these functions, and then we base on this document and we update the new to-do values and also add the update time. So we execute the update document functions, and then we clear the title and also the details, so the user can add a new to-do. And after that, we will show an alert with blue colors to let the user know that the to-dos already updated successfully. And now there is also one thing that we have to change is the button, because it always show add a new to-do. So we go to here and we type the to-do dot has own property timestamp. If it has own timestamp, then we tell the user this is a update to-do button. Otherwise, it is add a new to-do. So we cut this and paste to here. So we save it and try to see whether it works. And it has some spelling mistake at has own property, and this should be at the button. Now if we go to new to do and we type doing something new, and then we copy this and paste a few times and update, now it changed to do something new and also clear the input field. So it also has the alert at the bottom. So if you cannot see, we can try it again and type correct this to 3 and update. It has the alert, and we have also clear the JSON. So we go back to the input form, and we can delete this testing message. And now we can clear the debugging text, so we can leave the complete form at here. So now we already create a form that can add a new to-do and delete the to-do, and also added this, and of course render all the to-do list at the web page.